Welcome back to another episode of Anderson Ad Break. I'm your host, Maddy.
And I'm Sam. On this episode of Anderson Ad Break, we are going to be talking about the ins and outs of marketing this year in the year of 2025.
Yeah, we want to talk about what's in and what's out for 2025. Last year we worked on so many media plans, so many social plans with our amazing clients. And so we kind of got the feel, the lay of the land of our ins and outs. And we put these together for you guys. And we hope you agree.
And then also, if maybe we didn't hit on something that you want to talk about, definitely let us know too, because we would love to do any other episodes that our viewers recommend.
Yep. All right, Sam. Okay, so let's start off with our first ins and out. AI.
AI. What do we think? In or out?
Okay.
1, 2, 3. In. Yes, I definitely think it's in. It has been in for a few years now, but it's just going to continue to grow and grow and grow.
Absolutely.
I think there is no slowing down when it comes to AI.
Can I just say something really fun about culture that I love? I love seeing something form from like a bud, like seeing something in kind of like the beta, like, really high level. You see all these like big tech people, at these conferences talking about some revolutionary device like AI, and then seeing it over the years filter down into the mainstream is such a cool experience and like such a phenomenon for like our generation especially. And Ted mentioned this in his episode on like the 20th year anniversary when we talked about that, like him seeing his revolutions in advertising from print to digital. And it's just cool, like this is kind of our like revelation is going from like digital to now AI, like intelligence. It's just like a really cool thing.
Yeah,
I love.
We're definitely seeing the progression.
Yeah,
and it's kind of just been slowly weaved in for us. Like if you just think about when you're typing in a Word doc and it's just generative, like recommending the next word to say, that's AI.
That's AI.
So it's like, it's just been slowly weaving into our everyday lives.
Yeah.
And I think now it's just going to be becoming like more and more and more apparent. When I was at Social Media Marketing World last February, there were a ton of keynotes and a ton of sessions talking specifically about AI.
Yeah.
And one of the things that they really pushed is that if you're not using it now and not learning how to use it, then you're going to be left behind. And I'm sure it was the same, like you mentioned with Ted's episode with the switch from traditional to digital media, where it's like, if you don't at least like start learning how to use AI and like learning how to use those tools, then it's like you will be left behind.
This reminds me of something I saw from Severance, where Christopher Walken said that he like doesn't own like a phone and he doesn't have like TV, like he's still like, he refuses to email, he refuses to do all that. He probably just didn't take it on when all of these things were coming, text and email and all of these like new services and stuff. He probably didn't learn it. So then that's why now he's so behind, and he probably likes it, and that's okay. Like it's okay to like that. It's just, if you don't learn it now, it's going to be really hard to learn in the future. Because as we were researching why do we think AI is in, and just wanted to highlight some key points, it's like AI has now gone into almost every service line, especially in the advertising and marketing industry, from accounting, chatbots, social media, creative, SEO, generative machine learning, digital assistants, online shopping. So you get the point. It's literally now in everyday life. So it's so important for us to use, and that's why we think it's such a big in, because it is something revolutionary it's not going anywhere.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah.
Social Media Marketing World is put on by the company Social Media Examiner, and they did an AI report for 2024, and they surveyed about 1,200 marketers, and they asked them how long they've been using AI, what they use AI for, and then what industry that they work in. And I thought like this was really interesting that 36% of the marketers were only using AI from 6 to 12 months.
Oh, wow.
So people are just starting to use it as of 2024 is where people are realizing like they have that aha moment that, oh, we should be using AI right now.
Yeah.
So I think it's like a very, even though it's been around for a long time, I think people are now starting to realize like, oh, we should be using this.
I think there's some hesitancy around using it at first. I think, and we probably discussed about this, just if something is new, like there's going to be more laws that are made about it. There's going to be more compliance. Like that's, the whole other kind of side of AI. But I think people were hesitant because they were like, well, does this mean it's not good work? Does this mean you're not like doing like, I think we're so used to like, if you do something yourself, that means it's like good, and like getting help is bad and stuff. So I think this is just showing that it's like, it's okay to get support. Obviously you don't want to just copy anything straight from like a ChatGPT. Obviously if you have a digital assistant, have some discretion there with, what they're saying and like, how they're working.
Because there are a lot of questions still out there just about the ethics. The ethics, what's copyrighted, like, because like who owns that content? Is it the person who used the AI, or is it the machine that's learning the AI? And there also with the privacy and the security, like there's just still a lot of open-ended questions.
And I think that's a really good point. It's the lines get a little blurry. It's an interesting point when you debate like, well, you publish something on the internet for it to live forever. So for people to use and consume that information forever. So if you're just consolidating everything that's out there, then how is that, stealing or privacy? But then the other argument is, well, did you credit the source? How did you exactly get that? How are they actually determining what the answer is? Is it just based off what, the algorithm or whatnot? So I think that is a really, really good point to make, that be discretionary when you're using AI, and there's still probably going to be a lot more to come out, but it's staying.
And it's not going anywhere. If anything, it's just getting bigger and bigger. I'm excited to see what else we can be doing with AI. That can just enhance not only like our workflow, but even just with creativity. It's like sparking ideas. Absolutely. And I think that is a huge thing too with AI, is just knowing when and how to use it and learning how to use it correctly, and just not putting in a prompt saying like, oh, write this for me, and then just copy and pasting and putting it and publishing it as your own. I think that it's still important to learn how to use it correctly by saying like, oh, like help me with this idea. And then from the idea, then you use your own creativity to expand on that idea.
You should have critical thinking when you're using AI.
Yes, very important.
Very important. All right, Sam, let's go on to the next one. We have meta platforms. On the count of 3, in or out. Ready? 1, 2, 3, in. Oh my God, we have a little bit of a difference opinion here.
Yes, I am conflicted.
Okay.
I think it also just depends on what lens I'm looking at it through, as a user perspective, and just from what has happened so far this year. I just know like a lot of people are deleting all Meta apps, just for multiple reasons. And from a marketing perspective, it's still in.
It's in, baby. It's staying in. Yeah, I think that's where, us as advertisers, marketers, we kind of have to like look at that from the big picture, right? But from a marketing perspective, Meta is in. I mean, it is an effective part of our marketing tactics. It is cheap and an effective way to target, very specific audiences. You can do so much lead gen. You can do A/B testing. You can do, all of the above, boost posts, utilize, content. It is just a great tactic to use. Now, as a user, that could be a different story, absolutely. But that's why for me, I was indecisive too on this one, in or out. But Meta for 2025, I think it's in. I mean, hey, we have the whole year to see what happens.
Yes, we will see. And then with new social media platforms coming out, who knows? Who knows what the future of social media is going to be?
Absolutely.
And I think that's the beautiful thing about, that's why I love my role so much, is that it's never been consistent. And like every single year, there's a new social media platform. Like, should we be on this? Should we not? So I think that's going to be really interesting, just with how controversial that platform is at the moment, and how users feel conflicted even being on it. I think who knows where it's going to go
from a user perspective. And that's coming from a social media manager who you are engaging, community engagement. You have, your community of people, and like, that is something that you've seen over the years, and how Meta has kind of developed those, controversial policies and whatnot. Think about it, if you're not like an advertiser, think about it as like an institution. Like right now, the Meta, like the ads manager, business suite, right? Like the GA4 universal analytics, right? those are like institutions within like media right now. Those are tried and true tactics, things that is going to work and be effective. And it's just interesting so the analogy I was going to use is like, think about like the golden age, right? Like the Rothschilds and all of the old money and stuff like that. Those were like institutions, and I think it's going to be interesting with AI and, like you said, with new platforms. What are the next institutions going to look like and be, because I think it would be exciting to have something else.
I think that's why it's so important, just as marketers and advertisers, to know how people, just always thinking on trends and knowing how people are consuming media. So I think that's why, because it's like maybe you don't need to jump on every single trend, because the trend could just be momentarily popular, but you never know what's the next big thing is going to be.
You never know.
Yep. TikTok and Instagram, the major platforms for engagement. So it's basically comparing the engagement rate for TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, and X. That's TikTok, way up here. That's Instagram, that's Facebook, and that's X. So it's just crazy to look at the different platforms. And because I think the most important metric for performance for a KPI to see if your posts are actually performing the best is engagement rate. And that shows that the people who are actually viewing and following your content are actually engaging with it.
Yeah.
So I think that's just like crazy how big of a difference that is.
But I do have to say there's something to be said for reliability. And right now, as we know, TikTok is not a reliable source. So I think that's why some advertisers and marketers don't choose to utilize that platform. So
Yep.
So our next in or out is sustainability. On the count of 3 is sustainability in or out. 1, 2, 3.
In.
Now I say that with a little inflection. Because I feel like the topic of sustainability is controversial. Can you tell me and Sam love seeing the two sides of every single thing? This is why it's so hard, because we're indecisive, or mainly me. Me too. Sustainability is such an ambiguous word. It can mean so many things, and we understand that. But I just wanted to preface this. We're coming from the perspective of, in general, in a perfect world, sustainability is always going to be in because we love our planet. So I just wanted to give that context, because I know sustainability is a huge topic that covers so many areas, and you can measure it so many different ways. Some different ways you can do like a life cycle assessment, carbon footprint calculators, the bottom line frameworks, ESG data analytics. Like there's just so many ways to measure sustainability, and they all kind of have different meanings. I wanted to say that out loud. But yeah, sustainability is in. Who wouldn't want to try to? I think for me, sustainability means you want to leave the world and your place and your friends and your family and your customers and who you interact with, you want to leave it a better place. And so I think being sustainable is just having a conscious mind and a caring mind. And so I think that's always going to be in.
Yeah. And I think one of the things that a lot of brands do that I really enjoy seeing, whether it's on an app or a website, is every time you purchase products from them and they're in a sustainable company, you can see like Chipotle, for example, that it says like how many emissions like you've saved.
So some brands that I think are leading that cause is IKEA. Even for a larger brand, and there's something to be said, when you're on a global scale like that, can you really be sustainable? But I do think, you can do your part. At the end of the day, whether we should have big corporations or not is a different question, a different discussion. But a big corporation like IKEA pledging to only use renewable or recycled materials by 2030, I think is a big deal, because they are a furniture company. They produce so many types of materials. It's good to know that they want to take those materials that aren't always, the returns, the waste of overstock is actually getting used for something. And I think that's, really powerful, because, you can only lead by example. So hopefully, if you see another big company do that, maybe they're like, okay, well, if someone like IKEA can try to reach this goal, then maybe our company can, right? So you can't say that you can't do something.
IKEA has always been very sustainable as a company for as long as I remember. But I remember when they did open up the IKEA here in Phoenix, for I think it was like the first 100 or so people that would walk through the doors, they would plant a tree in their name. So they've been doing this before it was kind of like, I don't want to say sustainability is a trend, but it is kind of a trend for brands to incorporate sustainability within their marketing strategies. So
Absolutely.
they were doing it before it was cool.
They were doing it before it was cool because Swedish people know what's up.
Yep.
IKEA has always like made it known around the building as well. Like they're very like eco-friendly. They say when like something's a recycled material, it's said that they have donated billions in renewable energy and owning wind farms and solar parks globally to help power their operations as well, which is really important. All right. Another company I wanted to highlight really quick is Juneshine. They're a hard kombucha brand that I want to read you a little bit about it. So some of their sustainable initiatives include donating 1% of all of their sales to 1% for the planet. They power their brewery with 100% carbon-free solar energy, and they treat their wastewater before feeding it back into the system. And they also source raw materials from certified organic and local producers to try to minimize their waste. And I just think that is beautiful. I think that is a company that is really in the heart of their community and has really been able to make a successful product, a yummy product that is also not really harming the environment. So shout out Juneshine.
Their, I guess you would say, hard kombucha is delicious.
Yeah, it is delicious. I love it. And then a really interesting one. This is more of a random brand that I stumbled across. I just fell in love with their mission and the people behind it. It's called Paka Apparel, and it's a sustainable fashion brand that's changing organic material apparel. They have all of their materials are made from alpaca, so it's fleece clothing items, and it's 100% plastic free. They don't contribute to the microplastic epidemic. And alpaca farming apparently is actually a lot more planet friendly than sheep and goat, since they're raised in smaller herds and emit less harmful gases into the atmosphere.
I love that. And alpacas are so cute.
So cute. And it was I believe a group of women who they started in Peru. So I just think it is a beautiful, beautiful company that is really like, talk about sustainability. That is like hardcore sustainability.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
If you want to just try to be more sustainable, just Google is your friend. Do your homework on companies and corporations, because, they'll be able to tell you how impactful their sustainability has been and what that is. And if anything's going to be a trend, I hope it's sustainability.
Agreed.
So
it's a great trend. Let's keep doing it.
Authenticity. In or out? Ready? 1, 2, 3. In.
Times a million.
I hope you liked that harmony.
Yes. Totally agree. Totally. Yeah. That it's going to stay in and be in. And I think going back to AI, with Meta integrating more AI initiatives into their platforms, kind of like freaks some people out, and just adding more AI bots. I think users, especially on social media, are just craving more authenticity because of AI.
Absolutely.
They're just craving more human experiences in their day-to-day.
Authenticity is the key tool to making any marketing, any advertising campaign successful. Because if you're not authentic, not only is your campaign, but the people behind it, the people behind your campaigns also have to pride themselves or have that authenticity to, I think, produce something authentic and to help be a guiding light for that. So like at Anderson, that's one of our main driving forces. And I think our clients really love that about us, that some of the feedback that we've gotten is just that we keep it real. As Adri said on her episode with us, we're human first. We level set. We, we're in the nitty gritty of the day to day, and we want to make sure that your brand, whatever campaign you're doing, is standing out, and it's because it's authentic to you, and we're not doing any gimmicks or whatnot.
When it comes to AI, it's like people can tell that it is, and it just gives people like a off-putting vibe sometimes, depending on what it is. But yeah, you can't go wrong with just having a human first approach and just being able to connect.
Yeah, because sometimes when brands aren't authentic, what can happen is they won't buy your product. It's pretty simple. They won't buy your product. They won't want to partake in your business. If you're not authentic, then it affects you in a negative way, because it cuts through all of the other noise that we see, because you only have such a short amount of time as a user to want to engage or want to connect with content. So you need to make sure it's authentic and to that person. And I want to say consumers are more intelligent than you think they are.
And I think this goes really well into the next one.
Yeah. Influencer marketing. In or out? Ready? 1, 2, 3.
Out.
In. Okay. Yeah. I have an out. What's interesting is I actually have an example for an out one that I really didn't like, but I was going to say overall in, but I want to hear you go first.
I think just over the past probably 2 years now, it's slowly becoming out. And I think it ties well with authenticity, just because it's like, people are starting to realize that some influencers just aren't that authentic. And I think a really good example would be the Poppy campaign that recently just happened around the Super Bowl. For the Super Bowl, they gave a bunch of influencers who are already very wealthy vending machines for poppies. And that cost the brand like $35,000 just to ship the poppy vending machine. And then they have to ship it back because they don't even get to keep it. And they got a lot of backlash for that campaign because they're like, well, these people are already wealthy. Like, why do they need a poppy vending machine in their home? And two, it's like there were so many better opportunities that they could have done that. They could have brought it to university. They could have like brought it to like schools or like lower income schools. Like there were so many more opportunities where they could have had a bigger impact. Mm-hmm. So I think it's just sometimes influencers are just a little tone deaf to their followers. And I think that goes along with authenticity because it's like people are starting to see that.
I 100% agree. I do think influencer marketing is in from the perspective it works. Yes. I think it still works. However, again, like we said earlier, the customers are smarter than you think. They're starting to learn the influencers who now have so many brands, so many opportunities, so many different, mediums of income, where it's not authentic anymore. Influencers have kind of become mini celebrities. That's why you don't see brands collaborating with like an Angelina Jolie, because it's going to be like, okay, she got paid hundreds of thousands to be there. How do you really know that this is an authentic piece of her? Because celebrities, when they get that big, or influencers, when they get that big, they don't share that much about their life. Not to go into the intricacies of, the critical thinking of, knowing what influencer is what, but I really do believe that. So I actually found a campaign during the Super Bowl a little disturbing as well, which was the Carl's Jr. and Alex Earl campaign about how like you get a free burger on the Super Bowl or something like that. It was giving Jessica Simpson, and it was just something. It was just something that like I've seen done before. I felt like during the body positivity movement in like 2019, people were, Jessica Simpson was saying how harmful that is to like using burgers and sexualizing someone. And also she's a really popular TikToker who has, I'm sorry, I've never once seen her eat a Carl's Jr. burger on her TikTok when I followed her for like a couple years. And it's just, I felt really inauthentic, and it felt really like something that we were actually actually criticizing brands for doing in the past. And now it's circling back around. So it's just, for me, that was an interesting one. It's a personal take definitely on that Carl's Jr. one. Yeah. Didn't love.
And I think brands can still use influencers. I just think that brands need to just see it in a new light and a new way, and just, always staying on your toes. Like when it comes to advertising, you do have to know like what's trending, how are people feeling about consuming media. And I think influencer marketing can work if you are just mindful.
Absolutely.
Like Poppy could have done a great campaign with influencers if they would have just brought the poppy machines to university. Yeah. Like maybe some of those influencers could have been promoting the poppy vending machine and saying like, hey, I'm at like ASU, come find me with this poppy machine.
Absolutely.
So it's like you can use them, but I just think that brands just need to be more mindful on how they use influencers.
Yeah, I agree too. So my in is for people that do it the right way, but it's out for using those big influencers that feel inauthentic to their brand and what they represent.
Mm-hmm. Just don't be tone deaf.
Just don't be tone deaf, please. All right, Sam, we're going to go into a really, really quick rapid fire to finish up the podcast here, guys. So we're not going to really be giving our explanations. We're just going to be saying in or out. Ready for the rapid fire?
Let's go.
All right, TikTok, in or out?
I don't know.
Out. I deleted it from my phone. Blue Sky, in or out?
In.
I made an account. In. Threads, in or out?
Out.
Out.
In.
Out.
Are people still using Threads?
I hate Threads.
I think people moved to Blue Sky.
Yeah. No. Podcasts, in or out?
In.
In. You're kidding. Print media, in or out?
Out.
But like for certain things, it's okay. But all right, so this was a great episode. I had so much fun filming today. And I love being able to talk to you because we can have a difference of opinions, but I always learn something from you. And most of the time I change my mind.
Yeah, and I always learn from you too. And I feel like even though sometimes we're like disagree at first and we're like, wait, no, but like we totally are on the same page.
We totally are on the same page. And that just kind of shows our office life. That just shows literally that's how we communicate every day. And I love it.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you so much for watching this episode of Anderson Ad Break. Please make sure to follow us on all of our social media.
And please give us 5 stars wherever you see or listen to our podcast.
Bye.
Anderson Ad Break is on all major platforms, so tune in wherever you get your podcasts or check out the video version of each episode on YouTube. Like and subscribe to stay in the loop. You won't want to miss what's next.